My dad is trying to insinuate I'm sleeping with my brother and I don't know how to handle it. My desk OK 7014. I don't blame you for not knowing how to deal with that, because I wouldn't either. I know this sounds absolutely freaking insane, but is unfortunately real. Yes, it does sound insane. You are right about this. However, we need to read the context, because I'm warning you right now, it is it's very serious. If you saw the little yellow box, it says content warning, sexual assault, and that is not joking, okay? That is serious. So we're gonna read the context. We're gonna see if the dad has any reasonable reason to suspect this, right? And we're gonna see what we think, okay? So are we ready? I'm 16 and my brother is 18. Our mom died 6 months ago in a car accident, and our dad is an alcoholic, so we really only have each other and we're really close. Now, one thing that already kind of throws me off is, well, actually, first of all, my condolences. That's the most important thing. But what I was gonna say is the fact that someone could see that relationship. Okay, your mother just died and you got closer with your sibling. I'm assuming closer, or you guys already were, and you try and seek out each other for support. Then your first thought is to think that that is something sexual is, I think, a problem with yourself and not necessarily with these two kids. I was raped 2 days ago and my brother was the one who took me to the ER and to report it. When we got home, I tried to go to my room, but I couldn't stand being alone with my thoughts, and I ended up going to my brother's room and falling asleep in his bed when we were watching a movie. The same thing happened last night. I know this is kind of weird to be sleeping in the same bed and sharing blankets when we're this old, but I would argue that we have extenuating circumstances. I agree. I think so too, yeah. I think that is totally situation dependent. Like, I would never do that with my sister, right? But let's say something like that happens, then, well, yeah, if it's about feeling safe and making sure someone is, not gonna hurt themselves or something like that, because something like what happened to her can do weird things with your mind. Not that I know from experience. Fortunately, I don't know, but I can just imagine, right, what it could do to someone's mental state. And I think the thing that happened before isn't even weird. Like, if you're just watching a movie under a blanket, right, I can understand why you would think that is weird, but on the other hand, if you're just watching a movie, right, is it really that weird? It's just that she fell asleep, but given the circumstances, well, that's a good thing, because she wasn't able to sleep anyway. It's like weird if you're all cuddled up and close to each other and lovey-dovey, but I don't think that that's what they're doing, at least I hope not. Right? If you're just in a bed watching a movie, right, nothing weird's happening besides that, then I don't know. I don't think that that's weird, but I'm guessing that people have like different boundaries as to what they think is too far or not too far with their siblings, because people's relationship with their siblings are all very, very different, and they also change over time a lot. It's all very complicated, actually. Today, my dad texted the family group chat and told us we can't sleep in the same bed because we're too old, and he's worried we have raging hormones making us do crazy things. Right, okay, let's start thinking about hormones and not your daughter, who is a victim literally 2 days ago, but yeah, priorities, guys. Now, me personally, I would just get a mattress and then let my sister sleep in the same room at least, which probably I would have done from the start anyway, but circumstance, you guys were watching a movie, so it's not like you deliberately decided to, maybe the day after, I don't know, and honestly, I don't really care. This problem could be fixed pretty easily, right? Then don't sleep in the same bed, just sleep close to each other, because that's clearly what makes her feel safe, which in a time like this is super, super important. Now, what really makes me kind of uneasy about this is that that's what the dad's conclusion is. Why would you think that about your own children? I don't really understand that. I don't know these people's backstory. Maybe they have been weird with each other in the past, who knows, right? But I mean, I feel like given the circumstance, a little bit of leeway can be given, right? I'm obviously freaking disgusted by that, but I'm also really worried about spending the night alone. I've been really struggling these past few days, and I don't totally trust myself alone, and I don't know how to handle all this. So disgusted and offended he would even think that. Please respond with any advice, because I'm really at a loss. Right, I think we should do my original idea. Just bring a mattress into his room and then at least sleep in the same room. You guys can still talk and stuff. I'm guessing you don't need to cuddle. If you did, then that would be kind of weird. So I'm guessing that would be just fine. That would work perfectly well. Maybe also just keep the door open, right? Then if your dad's really, right, not trusting things, you can see how the door's open, right? If they were doing what I think they are doing, I would hear it. I don't know. Is that something he's been thinking about, right? His children doing that? Like, why Why is that on your mind? And then you just say that in the group chat, right? Ah, yeah, it's hormones. Of course, yeah. I was a teenager too once, man, and I had hormones, and I didn't want to do that, right? It's a mix of two things. It's just the fact that he's thinking it, but also the fact that that's something to talk about after what happened to your own daughter. I would think, or I would assume personally, that she doesn't really want to think about sex for obvious reasons, right? So why? And then do you yourself not offer any support? Because it doesn't seem like he does. Her brother is clearly her support structure, her support person. Why would you just take that away? Now we have a good opposing two views here in the comments. Doesn't sound like Dad is fully aware of the situation, but doesn't mean any harm. If you aren't already, I would suggest getting some help to work through all the trauma, but given the situation and just in general given the age, I don't really find it odd or inappropriate since it's your brother and any normal person wouldn't even think about something like he seems to have insinuated. It's only been 2 days since the rape happened. Of course, OP is going to want some level of comfort, especially from the person who helped her right after it happened. There hasn't been enough time to properly process the trauma of the situation yet, let alone work through it. Dad needs to try to do some research if he wants to support his kid. If he doesn't, he's going to damage his relationship with both of them. Ignore the voice crack, okay? Now, these are two opposing views, but they both have the same goal. What I mean to say with that is that I think neither is wrong, but I agree with the second one a little more. 2 days is not enough time, okay? You need to kind of, like, your nervous system needs to kind of calm down, like, okay, we're safe, we're not in danger right now, and that can take a long time. You could also argue that that is done with something like therapy, right? Working through it. But let things settle, okay? There's been a police report, there's been an ER visit, okay? Let it settle. And like I said before, I think the last thing that kid is thinking about right now is having sex. Even if the dad doesn't really know what's going on, then how, right? Did nobody tell him? But then again, the situation is a lot more complicated. We, of course, don't have the whole story, so there's only assumptions we can make. But it doesn't mean any harm. Sure, I don't think the dad is malicious when he says that, thinking about, like, okay, I'm going to make sure she doesn't have the person she trusts the most close to her in this moment so that she can deal with it herself. I don't think he's thinking that, but it's just profoundly stupid, honestly. It's really unintelligent, kind of short-sighted. Like, can you not imagine what she's going through right now? That maybe the person that makes her feel safe is the person that should be close to her. And I still think this can be solved with a simple compromise. Mattress in the room. Sleep apart, but in the same room next to each other. So you can still talk and you can still, right, sleep comfortably, as comfortable as possible. Okay, well, we got an answer to a question. This family dynamic seems strange. Probably a dumb question, but does your dad know you were raped? Who else is in this family group chat, if anyone? How has your dad stepped in to support you in the aftermath, if he is in fact aware? Yes, he knows the group chat is just the three of us from OP. So the assumption from the person who commented, the one I read first, is wrong. He is aware. Then how can you possibly think that that is what's going on after what happened to her? Do you just lack any intelligence at all? Like, I know I'm being kind of mean to him, but come on. Now, I do want to focus on the most important part here, which is her. Like I said before, I don't have experience with what it's like to have that happen to you, nor have I had anyone in my life directly who I know that has happened to, at least to my knowledge, right? But what I would recommend is eventually seeking therapy, of course, because what I said about letting things settle down, that can stretch on for too long. Right now, we are kind of too much in the middle of it, and there's some situations happening, outside of things. So it's fine to try to take a breather first. But don't start waiting too long on, I don't know if I'm ready yet, okay? Eventually you just gotta bite the bullet and go to therapy. And it's gonna be tough. Oh yeah, it's gonna be really difficult. Because you'll have to talk about it. You'll have to describe probably in detail what happened, and you're gonna have to explain what that did to you. And that is extremely tough. I have been to therapy. I've described really, really tough situations. It's uncomfortable. And frankly, it's not that easy. It's pretty hard, actually. But shying away from it indefinitely is not gonna help anything. Basically, what you're doing with therapy is you're making it a little worse. You're exhausting yourself mentally and recounting these terrible things. And after you have that big dip, right, it starts going up again. And the baseline goes up a little bit. And you keep doing that. And eventually the dips start getting less. And the baseline keeps being raised higher. And you're going to feel better about it. Well, you're never going to work through it Totally, right? There's always going to be a bit of trauma left, most likely. That's just the reality that you're going to have to accept. But it doesn't have to be as bad as it is right now forever. And I don't think you should wait too long for that. So basically what I'm saying is give it time for now, but don't wait too long. Because it's easy to say, yeah, I'll give it time, and then wait for weeks, months, maybe even years. Who knows, right? Because you don't feel you're ready to confront it, but you'll never be ready. But sooner or later, you gotta have to face the things that happen to you. This is for everybody, basically, who is going through a tough situation. But we're talking about you specifically right now. Eventually, you're gonna have to confront it. You're gonna have to face it. You're gonna have to remember the things vividly. And that just blows. Yes, it does. Absolutely, it blows. But it's easier when you're actively, right, working towards it. If you are not doing anything with it and you're just letting it simmer, then what's gonna happen is it's gonna eat at you. And it's gonna make sure you will probably never have a normal relationship again. Nights are gonna remain tough, right? Because you're not working through anything, you're just letting it sit, and then your life starts getting bogged down because you are being held back by this one thing for so long, even though you try to ignore it, but it's not something to be ignored because it's too big. So I want to caution you on waiting too long. That's basically what I'm doing. But I'm also saying that you are right in being disgusted at this, and I think you should seek out your brother for support, because that's the most important thing. A lot of victims are afraid of making reports. You did that immediately. That's smart. So yeah, I hope we learned something today. I hope things go well with her. I hope she has a good recovery. Of course, it's a damn shame that it happened, but reality is what it is. It's not fun. A lot of times it's not fun. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, comment something. Really appreciate y'all for being here. Yeah, so that's it for today. See you later.